were asking about where some of the old houses were. So I feel that that was a very old road, and that the houses were little dots along the road there, and they were kind of narrow houses, narrow with, like, chimney on the side of them. And they looked to me almost like log to old clapboard type houses, and they were pretty small. But on this property, you have a larger house that was over in there, pretty close to where your structures are. And I actually see a white house with an end porch. I see like a little end porch on it. It was pretty good size. It was 2-story. I also see like a lot of, decorations out in the yard. Like they might have had little walkways and stuff like that. Now that was 1800s. People who lived here before, I feel, have had the more rustic style house. That was 1700s. So there was a lot of activity going down this hill because there was water down that way. There was a spring. You told me you did find steps down there. So in this area, we have some steps over here, some old steps. It could have been built from the fact that there were older stones. You can see some embedded in here that were actually part of a stairway at one time. So there's a lot of old significance here. I also felt somebody was buried over on this hill, a woman. But I'm starting, the more that I think about it, I'm almost feeling like this was 20th century possibly. So I'm not sure if this was a really old inhabitant here, but I felt like this lady was buried here. This was a very significant area, and a lot of house members would come down to this area. And I also saw a lot of slaves at this farm, and felt a lot of them were down by the river. They had a lot of games. They did a lot of things. They did their washing down there. They seemed pretty happy for the most part. And I also got that they were from Haiti, or they were transported to Haiti, and they were very, very dark people. And I also said one more thing earlier about, I felt that sometimes they disciplined them, and there was one man who I felt stole silver or something from the household, was executed. So that's kind of the dark history of what happened in some of these situations. Over across the hills, there was Civil War activity. There was quite a lot of bands of troops coming through. And you said that you did find some Civil War bullets in this area? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that kind of rings true. But I definitely see them down in the flats over there. And near the other old homestead house down that way, I felt there was a lot of Civil War activity there, like they were camping out there, that kind of thing. The other part about this is there was significance with the man who once lived here early on, and the town. He had some prominence. His wife was a real greedy thing, I feel. I see her wearing garnet and jewels and that kind of thing. And this man had some prominence back in the 1700s with the British. So I'm not sure exactly what he did, but he had money. So there was a lot of things that happened over time here. Now, do you know what happened with the first people, or what their significance was here?
The original owner, he came from Yorktown. Him and his wife stayed in Yorktown. He's buried in Yorktown. And they would come back and forth here, and they built a house here, but then their son was the main person here who he grew up here. He lived here, got married here, had his family here, built a house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll go over some of the other history about where the main house was. Mm-hmm. The woman buried on this hill seems like she was sick or something. And I want to say, was probably in her 60s. It's possible there's some other people buried there. But in the 1800s, I feel people were buried more towards the church in town.